The Masked Maidens. To mask is to reveal. Entity number 126. The Scarecrows. To Kamiko. I've heard the news. Congratulations on joining the Masked Maidens. I'm sure that you have a lot of questions, and the others, as well as myself, will make sure to answer them all in due time. Even for a powerful kitsune such as yourself, I don't doubt that the symptoms of the masks, note, see Object 24, wall masks, must be very frightening for you to process. Attached below is a file that I highly suggest you read over. You asked us what our purpose is. This should tell you all you need to know about why we do what we do. I'm sure you are eager to remove your mask and find a cure to the afflictions that it brings you. So know this: the more information we gain by infiltrating the Meg's bases, the closer we get to finding a cure and enacting justice once and for all. May your truth be unmasked. Signed, Kokona Sejobe, leader of the Masked Maidens subsector Kitsune. Note: this is a draft and subject to change. Please contact a drafting administrator if you have something to add. Signed, D.A. Naomi Megiddo. Written August 2nd, 2021. no_image.png. Image caption: Error 386. Scarecrows.png not found. The file may have been recently moved or deleted. Habitat: Level 10, the bumper crop. Description: Entity 126, also known as the Scarecrows, are a group of mysterious entities that reside in various random locations around Level 10. Not much is known about them thus far, but experiments are currently underway to uncover more information. Appearance-wise, they seem to be nearly identical in constitution to common scarecrows in baseline reality, with the exception of the presence of various Object 24 wall masks attached to their faces. Based on testing, instances of Entity 126 seem to be able to contain any known variation of Object 24. No instances have been seen outside of Level 10, and only one instance can be seen at any time in a given area. Due to this, the amount of instances of Entity 126 that inhabit Level 10, the bumper crop, is uncountable, since its anomalous properties make it undeterminable if any newly sighted scarecrows are simply already known ones appearing in different places. Note: missing info, composition of materials, variations in appearance, number, and size. Several volunteers have been assigned to collect this information, but have been unsuccessful. Behaviors: at first glance, Entity 126 appears stationary. There are no signs of sentience or organic qualities when looking at them. However, taking eyes off of the entities for an undeterminable amount of time will cause them to seemingly teleport to a random location. Any period of time in which they are not in your sight will come with the possibility of movement, even blinking. There are no tracks or prints in the ground after they move, and Entity 126 has been reported to be able to disappear and reappear in places far enough away in a small enough amount of time that it can be said that they have the ability to move faster than the speed of light. Keeping Entity 126 in your vision appears to prevent it from moving, as it will always remain stationary until you take your eyes off of it. After moving, Entity 126 instances will always be facing the nearest Wanderer directly, regardless of their previous orientation or if the Wanderer changed their position. This ensures that when a Wanderer looks at an instance of Entity 126, they will always be looking directly into their eyes. There is no visible face behind the masks of the Scarecrows, and, as such, Wanderers have described their eyes as, quote, dark pits that suck you in like a black hole. End quote. Looking into their eyes for any period of time will cause wanderers to have an irresistible urge to immediately travel to the Scarecrow, remove the instance of Object 24, wall masks, from its visage, and don it themselves. Note: this effect persists across all digital mediums. All photographs of Entity 126 are to be removed immediately, as of March 1st, 2021. Entity 126 exhibits the ability to also change locations in digital depictions of itself, such as photography, video, 3D recreations, and even sonar technology. Mediums in which a representation of their face is visible will also cause wanderers to become obsessed with finding them and donning their masks if such a representation is viewed. This persists across all levels, regardless of distance or circumstance. If wanderers do not know how to get to level 10, the bumper crop, from whatever level they are currently in, they will devote all their resources into finding the quickest way possible. Wanderers under the effect are prone to irrational and illogical decisions, such as quitting their job at the Meg without warning in order to reach level 10 and wear the mask. Wanderers under this effect will also not eat, sleep, or drink, and are prone to dying of bodily deprivation if they cannot reach the Scarecrow in time. This effect is unavoidable, no matter what method wanderers use to view the Scarecrows. Cameras, glasses, sunglasses, water glasses, telescopes, binoculars, and any semi transparent materials do not prevent wanderers from being affected. Wanderers who are blind do not fall victim to the entity's anomalous properties through vision, but will still feel the irresistible urge to wear the masks if they happen to touch a scarecrow. The same is true for facelings. There is no known way to destroy an instance of Entity 126. Fire, spears, knives, and all other conceivable and available tools and weaponry have proven to leave no distinguishable marks. Sightings of Entity 126 have been recorded for the past hundreds of years throughout several ancient journals, and recently cited instances seem to possess the exact same appearances and qualities as they did in the past. It is therefore unknown if there is any possible way that Entity 126 can ever be destroyed other than the following example. Taking an instance of Object 24 from an instance of Entity 126 will cause it to crumble and fall apart into a substance so fine that it cannot be detected or contained. Wanderers who have been affected by Object 24 have shown no signs of being affected by Entity 126. It can be assumed that Entity 126 only affects those who have never been previously exposed to Object 24. Once an instance of Object 24 taken from Entity 126 is worn, wanderers will experience all the standard symptoms of Object 24 instances found elsewhere, such as expressing an intense and irrational desire to kill or maim any nearby humans. Because of this, as of August 2nd, 2021, experimentation and attempting to obtain any further information has been deemed too risky and costly to human life, and has been prohibited for the foreseeable future. Express Order of Overseer A. Biology. Note: no further information is available. The Meg has determined Entity 126 too dangerous to proceed to research. Note from Drafting Administrator Naomi Megiddo: this draft is now given a red flag. It is never to be published on the official Meg database, nor is it to be altered in any way, shape, or form from this moment onwards. We have decided that releasing this information would only bring more harm upon the community, as knowledge of this entity would cause far more casualties and victims of Object 24 than if it remained unknown. The reason for this is both because images of the entity are incredibly dangerous and because we are still unsure whether or not knowledge about this entity may also cause its anomalous effects. We may still continue to lose innocent wanderers who encounter them on their own, but it is a much lesser evil than risking losing even more lives due to experimentation and investigation. Our hearts grieve for the brave volunteers that we have lost in our pursuit of knowledge and safety. Their willingness to give and devote their lives to maintaining and preserving a safe environment for the entire Wanderer community of the Backrooms is truly commendable. Though there is no public celebration for their great achievements, their sacrifices are just as valuable. While this article will never be published, what we will not forget is what these brave souls gave to us. Thank you, and stay safe. Included below are the archived test logs of the failed experiments and the previous draft. Due to the sensitivity and danger of the information, do not open these files unless given express permission. Archived files. Do not view unless authorized. Proceed with utmost caution. Scarecrows.png. Archived. Image caption. Don't look. Previous draft and testing logs. The Masked Maidens. To mask is to reveal. Entity number 126. The Scarecrows. Subjected to change. Written. Image caption. Image caption corrupted. The entirety of the article's original draft, from its habitats section all the way to its biology section, is the same as its current draft. As such, I will skip to the test logs section. Test logs. Test log 01.11.14.20.txt. Meg official test log. Testing date November 14th, 2020. Volunteers present: Sheena Langley, Jasper Rivas, Kiara Tanaguchi. Logged by Rezinia Loras, Meg Operative. Experiment Volunteer Lily Degurichaf. Experiment 01. Volunteer was given a pair of glasses and instructed to walk into the middle of a field approximately 40 miles southeast of Malttown in order to test whether or not glasses can prevent or hinder the effects of Entity 126. There was one instance of Entity 126 present. Volunteer walked into the field alone as instructed, while Sheena, Jasper, Kiara, and I watched from afar. The entity did not change its position. It was turned towards us, and we could see its eyes. All four of us were inexplicably drawn to the mask on its head, but Lily reached it first. She put on the mask. She won't take it off. She's not taking it off, but she has a knife. The writing gets less formal and sloppier as the log goes on, eventually cutting off abruptly. Why weren't we told the masks were dangerous? Test log 02.12.10.20.txt. Meg official test log. Testing date December 10th, 2020. Volunteers present: Rebecca Hart, Chloe Yang, Kevin Yu. Logged by Jake Sendley, Meg Operative. Experiment Volunteer Quinn Ma. Experiment 02. Volunteer was given a pair of 7 by 50 binoculars and instructed to use them to observe an instance of Entity 126 from a distance of 2 miles. Volunteers Rebecca Hart, Chloe Yang, and Kevin Wu stood guard around the volunteer to ensure that no hostile entities could disturb the experiment. Nobody but the volunteer was to look at Entity 126 directly. Immediately, upon spotting Entity 126 with the binoculars, the volunteer quickly left her designated spot and began to head straight for the Entity 126 instance. Attempts were made to constrain her, but the volunteer became increasingly aggressive and hostile the longer the others held her. Eventually, the volunteer was able to overpower all other personnel present and reach the Entity 126 instance. Upon taking the mask and wearing it, the volunteer entered a state that can only be described as beyond all reasoning. The particular variation of Object 24 that she wore has been identified as a sock mask. She attacked the rest of the party with the intent to kill, and we had to use a spear to impale her in self defense. After her death, we found that the mask could not be removed by normal means, and only by using a sharp object to pry it off did we find that it had been fused to her face. The Entity 126 instance that gave her the mask has yet to be found. It disappeared in all the confusion. This experiment was a disastrous failure. We had to kill an innocent person in self defense. Please, let this be the last experiment. All of us are traumatized. Look at the mess you caused. Test log 27.4.24.21.txt. Meg official test log. Testing date April 24th, 2021. Volunteers present Maria Albright and Jacob Hindler of Team Nogitsune. Logged by Ryan Erickson, Team Nogitsune. Experiment volunteer Kokona Sajobi, Team Nogitsune. Experiment 27. I have no idea if there's some sort of way I'm supposed to write this, because for some reason, we're not allowed to view the previous test logs. I knew something was up, and I was damn right. We were supposed to give Kokona a blindfold and have her touch one of these things. Entity 126 or whatever. At this point, I'm tired of all this science-y bullcrap. Apparently, this thing has really bad effects if you let it make eye contact with you, so we thought that Kokona was going to be okay as long as she didn't see it. Turns out, we were dead wrong. The rest of us, Team Nogitsune, stayed back and looked for the Scarecrow. We were able to see its figure and pointed it out to Kokona so she could feel her way towards it. Since we didn't make eye contact with it, I think we all came out fine. Everyone except for Kokona. The instant she touched the cursed piece of shit, she ripped off her blindfold and put on the mask. It was one of those kitsune mask things you can buy sometimes during Japanese festivals. Once she put it on, she fucking disappeared. It's been 30 minutes, and there's no trace of both her and that damn scarecrow. We don't know what the mask is doing to her, but given the fact that someone's been hiding all those previous test logs from us, I think we know who does. Fuck this. We're quitting. All of us. Kokona was our family. You couldn't even bother to put this in the real article. Now, all I am is just a forgotten name. Scarecrows.png. Image caption. You looked